I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Tuesday, July the 2nd, 2013. The Associated Press reports that Israel's military says Egypt has moved forces into the border area near Gaza in coordination with Israel. It was reported yesterday from various sources that the Egyptian army had moved several armored vehicles to the border between the Gaza Strip and the Sinai Peninsula with the growing unrest in Egypt. And in a statement today, the Israeli army confirmed these earlier reports and said the Egyptian military activity in Sinai is coordinated with Israeli security elements and authorized at the most senior levels in Israel to contend with security threats in Sinai that pose a threat to both Israel and Egypt. According to the peace treaty Israel has with Egypt, Egypt is obligated to coordinate movement of any heavy military vehicles and weapons in the Sinai with Israel. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas expressed optimism today about the efforts made by U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to resume peace talks with Israel. Abbas told reporters after meeting with visiting Italian Prime Minister Enrico Letta in Ramallah, "We are optimistic because Kerry is serious and determined to achieve a solution. We hope that in the very near future we can return to the negotiating table and deal with all the pending core issues." Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who had met with Letta yesterday, also addressed the peace talks. He said, "I am ready to go into the tent, the peace tent, and stay in the tent until white smoke comes out." Responding to Netanyahu's remarks, Abbas said today there was no need for a tent. The two leaders could easily meet in either of their homes, either in Jerusalem or Ramallah, saying nothing prevents a meeting between us at any given time. Secretary of State Kerry is said to be returning to the region within a week. Several Jewish organizations today reacted to statements made by Turkish Deputy Prime Minister Beşir Atalay, who accused, among others, the Jewish diaspora of encouraging the recent violent protests in Turkey. In remarks yesterday about the protests, Atalay reportedly claimed that the foreign media and the, quote, Jewish diaspora were responsible for the, quote, conspiracy that was trying to block the way of Great Turkey. According to news reports, Atalay said there are some circles that are jealous of Turkey's growth. They are all uniting on one side, the Jewish diaspora. The American Jewish Committee issued a statement today in response to not only Atalay's recent remarks, but also regarding earlier and similar accusations by other senior Turkish officials, including Turkish Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan, and called these remarks nothing less than blatant calls to incitement. AJC Executive Director David Harris said last month Prime Minister Erdogan blamed the protests on the, quote, interest rate lobby, a thinly veiled term that in the past has been associated in the Turkish media with an alleged conspiracy of Jewish businessmen. Atalay's reference to international media carries similar sinister connotations of conspiracy theories about Jews. The World Jewish Congress President Ronald Lauder said it is shocking to hear from a senior Turkish government minister such despicable and totally baseless slurs. And ADL National Director Abe Foxman said the anti-Semitic nature of this conspiratorial statement would be disturbing if uttered by anyone in Turkey. It is all the more outrageous and harmful coming from such a high-ranking member of the Turkish government. Turkey's Jewish community voiced their concerns as well that Jews around the world and in Turkey could now be targeted as a result of Atalay's statements. The Israeli Knesset today marked the 37th anniversary of the raid on Entebbe, the hostage rescue mission carried out by IDF commandos in 1976 to rescue over 100 Jewish and Israeli passengers taken hostage after their Air France plane was hijacked by members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the German Revolutionary Cells in Entebbe, Uganda. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whose brother Yonatan led the operation and was killed during the mission, gave an emotional speech at the commemoration at the Knesset and warned that the threats we faced 37 years ago continue. And today I say there is no place the long arm of the State of Israel cannot reach and will not reach in order to defend the country. And finally today, BBYO, formerly B'nai B'rith Youth Organization, held their second Teen Issue Summit of the year in New York last week, where approximately 90 14 to 18-year-olds signed up for service projects to help repair Hurricane Sandy damage in Staten Island. The volunteers worked on various cleanup and beautification projects, which included creating a sustainable greenhouse made out of water bottles. They also sorted clothing and distributed food. Stand Up and Rebuild is a project of the BBYO Youth Organization in which local chapters create programming around a cause of their choosing. The hurricane relief effort was a project of the national organization in partnership with New York's Metropolitan Council on Jewish Poverty. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Tuesday, July the 2nd, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.